docudrama, Then Barbara Met Alan, which tells the story of how she and Alan Holdsworth were key figures in securing the Disability Discrimination Acts. Barbara's going to talk to us tonight about the importance of accessible public transport for disabled people and the impact of cuts to public transport services. Barbara, we're really glad to be here.
Don't expect me to be funny because I wrote that out anyway, we'll see. Yeah, so I'm Barbara and all those things that Alex said. And I've also got a current obsession that I think I share with most people in this room, or probably everybody in this room. I want to get the fucking Tories out. Of being the first person to swear tonight as well. But it's what crowds my head whenever I think of the Tories. And in fact, I'm wearing my kick out the Tories badge for the Thatcher era, which I managed to sneak in when I picked on this morning with Holly and Phil to promote this Dead Barbara and it's still on iPlayer, by the way, if you're watching. And they didn't notice that I had the badge on. And then, like, people on Twitter were saying, "Did you see the badge?" So I'm sure they don't get that very often. And also, just to let you know, I mean, transport is awful for disabled people most of the time. And we campaigned for years as the Disabled People's Direct Action to get proper access. And we did, we got there. I mean, in the early 90s, I couldn't get on a bus. If I wanted to get on the train, I had to book 2 or 3 days in advance. Now, guess what? Only 24 hours in advance. There's some kind of progress. We can't, you know, they say turn up and go, but you can't, because you've got to find somebody to go and get the ramp. And guess what? If these cuts go ahead, if the Tories do what they're trying to do to the rail workers and to the bus workers and to the whole transport system, we won't be able to travel at all. Because the transport system was already difficult. But a lot of disabled people do need assistance because there's no automatic ramp on the train. You have to get somebody to fetch it and attach it and know what they're doing. Because it's, you think it'd be straightforward, but it's not. And then there's a couple of ramps I've nearly fallen off. And it wasn't me, really. I don't like to drive in a straight line most of the time. So yeah, we get offered this thing called special services. How good is that? When you tell a kid they're getting something special, they go, yay, fantastic. When you say it's special to a disabled person, you go, Jesus Christ, really? There is nothing special about the services we get. And, you know, I mean, I'll just tell you this thing, it's like, buses are accessible, yeah. But I got on a bus a year or two ago with my mate Toby, also a wheelchair user. I've got a scooter. His scooter is quite small in the scheme of things. You can get much bigger ones. But we both got on the same bus. And the driver looked horrified and said, "One of you has got to get off." We go, "Don't be silly. We're travelling together." He said, "Yeah, but we're only allowed one wheelchair in the space like this is not what I campaigned for." When I campaigned, it's so people can travel in 1s and 2s and 3s and however many people need to travel. The same on the train. Each train only has one reserved space for people who use wheelchairs. It's not acceptable, and it's been that way for years and years on the transport system. So I support the workers because the fewer workers there are, the less support there will be, the less assistance there will be, but also the already rubbish experience that we often get. And I've got to say, this is not down to staff. I really really need you to know that. This is down to a bad system. You know, trying to book assistance is an art, or a science, or it's something that I can't quite describe. But it's really hard to do. I mean, I live in Turnpike Lane. I actually drove down to King's Cross to walk in and actually go to the ticket office and say, book me assistance on a train journey I was making, because I couldn't do it online. And yet we're being told to do everything online. A lot of people don't have access to online services. People are living in increasing poverty, we all know that. And that poverty is not getting better unless we make it happen. We've got to get this to stop. We've got to get things to improve for disabled people, for everybody. You know, when I campaign, I don't just do it for us. I do it for everybody, because whatever access you get loads of people. And I tell you what, I mean, I don't want to bring this down, I don't want to bring you down, but, you know, anybody can become disabled at any time. We're not an exclusive club, so, you know, open door policy. So, when we do it for every single person that will become disabled in the future. You know, for your mums and your grandparents, for everybody else that's going to have to get access on the transport systems, because, you know, the old transport systems, they did not take our needs to account, and we changed that, and we need to keep changing it. We must allow it to go backwards. We need staff, we need access. Disabled people are going to be with you every step of the way. And in the 90s, we were handcuffing ourselves to buses and bringing cities all around the UK to a standstill. So London, Birmingham, Cardiff, Glasgow, everywhere. We went to Nottingham, we went to a lot of different cities, and we caused mayhem. And we got a lot of public support. Not everyone. One woman came up to us when we were handcuffed to a train and said, "You mustn't be doing this," she said, "because you get more injured than what you are already." But most of the time, we have public support. And if we don't, then I don't care, but I think we will. And get them the rights that they're after, get them the job security that they're after, and most of all, get rid of the sodding Tories. I've already got the handcuffs out, dusted them down. It's a shout.
Our next speaker is One Kasser. So One is the National Bus Lead Officer for Unite the Union. Unite is the union that organises all bus workers within the TfL, and which is currently been leading strike action by bus drivers at London United. One is going to talk to us tonight about the impact of cuts on London's lifeline bus network. One, over to you. Thank you.
Solidarity to every single striking worker. Here tonight because she is working on just a few of the hundreds of disputes that we are currently involved in. Solidarity, yes, but also hope and optimism. Because brothers, sisters, comrades, I want to talk about the solutions, because actually workers, all of our members have the answer. The answers are provided by strikers like Unite London bus workers at Abellio, who are about to start a ballot, not just on pay, not just on scheduling, but against cuts to bus routes as well. Strike action against bus route cuts. Workers at RMT who have been taking strike action against a company that has made 174 million in profits in 2021. So let nobody tell us, I don't think we would believe them anyway, when they say that there is no money. The problem is, we know where it is. There's lots of money, the wrong people have it, and they've got too much of it. In London alone, are about to finish a ballot. Our members of Metroline, Stagecoach and Go Ahead are about to start industrial action ballots. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see all those campaigns, all those strikes coordinating right across London? Conference, who agreed to call on local authorities to rebalance needs-based, no-cuts budgets. If it's appropriate for local authorities, then it's appropriate for the GLA and it's appropriate for TfL as well. No-cuts budgets, plug immediate gaps with borrowing, while the Labour-led GLA joins with the trade unions and the communities to fight for the necessary funding. It's not rocket science. The answers, the solutions are there. No secret negotiations to return a cuts agenda. Get the government to fill the funding gap. Our policy is to fight. Don't lobby the government. Don't lobby the Tories. Do what trade unionists are doing and fight back against the bastards. Nationalisation, in-source public transport, run for need, not for profit, a responsibility to workers and communities, not shareholders, but not a boss's nationalisation, not compensation to shareholders, not a socialism for the rich, not nationalising the debt and then privatising the profit, nationalising in bad times and privatising again in the good times. We want proper insourcing and nationalisation. Look, we celebrated when our members on the Woolwich Ferry were insourced, but that celebration was short-lived when we saw the way that TfL were treating our members. And as a result, our members on the Woolwich Ferry are yet again balloting for industrial action. Yes to nationalisation, but how about insourcing the public transport system and giving trade unions, workers, communities democratic control over how it's run? Before I get the tap from the chair, let me end on these very quick points. I've talked about answers and solutions, and I can't let this go by, because over the weekend it was publicly suggested that Unite should get behind the Keir Starmer-led Labour Party. It's nearly pantomime season, but here's the answer again, brothers and sisters. Here's the answer in the most comradely way possible. It is not for militant unions and striking workers to get behind Starmer and the Labour Party. The answer is the other way round. It's Starmer. If he actually stood behind the unions, he would be taking a step forward. We will not be stepping back. We will be striding forward to build power in our workplaces and organise in our communities. Comrades, brothers and sisters, I'm full of hope on optimism because we're seeing victory after victory in workplace after workplace. Not glorious defeats, but real victories. Over 100 million extra earnings won by Unite members over the last 12 months. The message is clear. Strike action works, brothers and sisters. Solidarity works. Solidarity to every striking worker. Forward, brothers and sisters, to many more victories to come, and forward to a better, brighter future.
Marsha, we called her the MP for Battersea, and she can't be with you because of a clash of diaries. But I just want to say about Marsha that she's obviously somebody who's herself registered blind. She's worked for a number of charities including Action for Blind People. She was a founder of the charity South East London Vision in 2014, and since being elected an MP for Battersea, she's been involved in campaigning to make the parliamentary estate more accessible for disabled people. And she's kindly recorded a short message for our meeting, our rally tonight. So if you could please roll the video.
Hello friends, sorry that I can't make tonight's Save London's public transport rally, but I wanted to send a message of support and solidarity and say a massive thank you to the RMT for inviting me to speak. I'm gutted that I actually am not going to be here to share the platform with all of you and with the brilliant Senator Bernie Sanders from the United States. Now, for years, successive Tory governments have waged a war against workers, against our rights and our public services. And the cuts to London's transport network are a political choice by this Tory government. Now, we have seen over 2 billion cut over the last 4 years by this government. And that's why in Parliament I continue to call out this government for their attacks on our great capital city, a city that we are also proud of. And they criticise London at any opportunity, but what this government fails to realise is that when London does well, the whole country does well. London buses, London Underground and the rail network desperately need a proper funding settlement from this government. Unfortunately, and they are failing to do that, but friends, I say today, enough is enough. Public transport workers, they were our heroes. They kept London moving throughout the pandemic. They are the real and together we will keep fighting against cuts to jobs, against pensions and alternative conditions. Older and disabled people rely on the public transport, especially on our buses. And the government are not content with closing ticket offices. They now want to cut our bus routes and jobs, meaning that some older and disabled people won't be able to travel safely and securely, and in some cases, some will not be able to travel at all. Our brilliant buses are the most inclusive, affordable and accessible mode of transport. Now, in this cost of living crisis, people need their buses more now than ever. And bus drivers too, they need support, they need a proper pay rise, and they need secure working conditions. And this is no time to be cutting jobs and scrapping bus routes. Enough is enough. Friends, we will fight against these cuts to our transport network, and we will say no to cuts, no to job losses, and no to bad conditions. Solidarity.
But I'm really proud to say that we've got Hannah Carroll with us. Hannah is a member of the CWU, East London Coastal and branch, and she's been on the picket line all day at Whitechapel. Reflects on the great struggle that her union is involved in. 115,000 members of the CWU on their second day of strike action today, after a 98% yes vote on a 72% turnout for strike action. We from the RMT trade unions in the room express our complete solidarity with the CWU. Before I just interrupt her, I think while she's speaking, one of her friends is looking up with the room as well.
This is my first time public speaking to God, by the way. So everyone makes his way up, or tries to. There we go. Hello, Chad. So today's Politics Out and Strike. This is our second day of action in regards to disputing pay. I'm pleased to obviously speak with you guys tonight to speak on the corporate greed that is going on across, especially within all our sectors. Royal Mail have currently imposed a 2% pay rise to us all, yet the executives have rewarded themselves with big fat bonuses and gold-plated salaries. Our two chief executives have had bonuses of £2 million between themselves, with salaries of £500,000 a year. To make matters worse, they have rewarded shareholders over £400 million in dividends, and on top of that, they're about to reward them yet again in September with another £138 million on the back of the £758 million that us, the workers, worked for, got to them, but we're only being imposed a measly 2%. They say that there's no money for the workers, yet they can find money when it suits them. In an attempt to break our strike, they've offered the managers up to £1,500 bonus as a reward if they keep their 100% attendance record up until the end of October, which is disgusting. Our next strike date will be the 8th and 9th of September, which is next week. We ask that you support your local person workers on your local picket lines. If you can manage to take pictures, hashtag stand by your post. We need to support each other in this fight. There's more of us working people than there is of them greedy bastards at the top. The CWU stands in solidarity with the RMT and local unions. Thank you.
Thanks to whoever's wearing that costume. RMT is affiliated to Global Union Federation, the International Transport Workers Federation. Really pleased that we've got a solidarity message tonight, making the case for the campaign for investment in public transport as part of the Green New Deal and economic stimulus. And we're really pleased to share with you a short video made by John Mark Moinika, who is the ITF Urban Transport Committee Chair, dealing with metros and buses all over the world, and is from the Amalgamated Transport and General Workers Union in Uganda. So, roll.
Good evening, comrades, brothers and sisters. I'm John Mark Moinika from the Amalgamated Transport and General Workers Union in Uganda. As your chair of the Urban Transport Steering Committee of the International Transport Workers Federation, a global union representing over 18 million workers. We are here today in solidarity to save transport for land. Famous brand, famous model around the world, but which for some intent the British government seems to intend on destroying. The current funding crisis in the tier level has not been caused by trade unions, has not been caused by public transport workers, or indeed the passengers. We know that the current funding crisis has been caused by the cut in public spending for public transport by the government. To you, I say this, you are not alone. Public transport workers around the world stand with you in this fight. We are in solidarity with you in this fight. We refuse and we shall refuse to be meek. We refuse to be humble, and we refuse to be poor again. An injury to all of us. Remember to be your sisters, your brothers, keepers. The fight is with us, and we are to win. Solidarity.
Transport unions here in this country and around the world. Friends, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce the General Secretary of the RMT, Mick Lynch.
He's in the building on top. So, and he will be with us soon, so I'll try not to queer his pitch for him. I don't say that anymore, but I'll try not to ruin his speech, because a lot of people have ruined mine already by using all the numbers and the stats that I had stored in my brain. So I'll try and keep to the broader issues tonight. What we've got in front of us here is a defensive dispute that we're running along with the other trade unions. That goes for the National Railway and it goes for London Transport. They've got their tanks on our lawn right now, and they've got the tanks on the lawn of the working class, if you're happy to have, lucky to have one, all over this country. Every single public service that we have built since the Second World War in the settlement that the Attlee government brought to us is now under attack, whether it's the health service, the care service, the education services, the transport services. Every single one of them is under attack, and the unions and the labour movement have to keep this fight back going and spread it right across the country, starting now. Just on the rail, if we look at the rail section that we're dealing with tonight, £4 billion of cuts Shaps has put up. People are saying to me, why are you going out on strike? Why is this campaign necessary? Well, somebody's sitting in a bunker in Welling Garden City with an RAF flag behind him and the Union Jack coming out of every orifice that he's got. Decided it was a good idea, given the opportunity that COVID had given the Tory government, to cut £4 billion off the National Railway, and £2 billion off the National Railway, and £2 billion off London Transport. Now, £2 billion of London Transport is a bigger cut in terms of the one on the National Railway, and we've seen the response that we've put up there. This is a bigger attack on Londoners and the idea of a coherent transport system than the one we've got on Network Rail and the train operating companies. And that's why we are fighting back, and that's why we are determined to win this fight, and we won't let it go. And let's be clear as well. Transport is a class issue. You've heard it from many of the speakers. It's an equal rights issue. in this country will be attacked by poor public transport provision. We already know that. The RMT organises bus workers out in the county towns down in the southwest, bits of the northwest and along the east coast of England. They are subject to massive cuts to their transport provision. And if you think the fares are high in London, going from the outskirts of a provincial town like Lincoln or Scarborough, it's going to cost you £6 or £7 each way going forward. And if you think working class people can afford that, you've got another thing coming. Working class people will face a future where they're locked in their houses because they can't go to the shops, where they're locked in their houses and they can't put their heating on and they're worried about feeding themselves. If that's not a class issue, I don't know what is. And we will be taking that away. These cuts, when they come through, and they are coming, because this settlement that's been announced so glibly over the last couple of days by Shapps and Mayor Khan are just a deferment for when the real cuts are coming. They've not announced service closures as yet. They've not announced curtailment. And the pressure they're under now from the Unite strike, from our campaigns and other strikes, I think means that they're going to roll back some of these consultations on bus services. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. But it's a lesson to us. It's the trade union movement, organised labour, that is going to move these politicians in our direction. We're not going to plead, we're not going to ask for policy documents, we're not going to ask for favours of politicians anymore. We're going to organise the working class in the workplace, in our communities, and we're going to get the job done ourselves. The London Labour Party, the National Labour Party, all of the so-called progressive politicians in Parliament, except a few, John. Where are they out in the campaigns, fighting against cuts themselves? In the Labour Party, outside the Labour Party, in the communities, wherever we can get those campaigns going. And as was said from Unite, in tandem with what we're doing in the workplace. And that means fighting against the cuts to the libraries, the nurseries, the elders' provision, disability care, whatever it takes. These are all our issues that we should be working together. And that's why these meetings are so packed. I don't know about you, but I feel something is changing in this country. The people are now ready for change. The people are now ready for action, industrial action, collective action, social action. They want to get on the streets. They want the message to be delivered to whoever's sitting in Westminster. We demand change, and we demand whoever's in there that they deliver it on our behalf. Over the last couple of days, they've put a lot of complicated documents out. But they said that cuts immediately. A Labour politician has gone in with a Tory politician and cooked up a corrupt deal based on our members' pay, terms and conditions. We're not having it. They want to take £100 million a year out of our members' pension pot. Not 1 year, not a one-off hit. Every single year going forward, that's the saving. That will come out of our members' pay in retirement. It will come out of their dependents' money in retirement. And on top of that, the benefits will be diluted and our members will have to pay more. That is exactly the same agenda that they're delivering on the National Railway. We're not going to take it on London Transport, and we're not going to take it on the National Railway either. They're also saying that the cuts have got to be delivered through a long-term pay freeze. It's not in the document, but it's £230 million missing out of the equation today, and they've told us directly it will come out of your members' wages, on top of the £100 million of the settlement. If anyone thinks that the RMT and the other trade unions are going to settle on that basis, they need to go and have their heads wobbled and their heads examined. That's not going to happen on our watch. you're just a club of the in-house staff. You're just a group of people that are in a privileged position because you've got this leverage. You're holding the country at ransom. I don't know if you've ever met my national executive, but I do know what being held at ransom looks like. We're not doing that. We're being held to ransom. Because what did they think after COVID? They thought, these people are never going to fight back. They're scared. They're cowed. We can make the RMT and ASLEF and unite an enemy. Nobody's going to support them. They won't get any public opinion. Well, they've got another thing coming. These meetings are packed all over the country. And we've got to deliver it. But it's got to be broader than transport. We've got to unite up all of our communities. The trade unions have got to be a physical presence in those communities. The communities that we've lost to our ideas over the last 20, 30 years. The people that have given up on the labour movement, who've got no idea how to organise collectively. We've got to mentor them to get residents' associations going, to get rent payers' associations going, to get young people's organisations going politically. Whatever it takes, the unions have got to be there. We cannot leave it to the professional political class to get that job done. It was our job to make it happen. In this economy now, outsourcing, subcontracting, vulnerable work, precarious work. Every single company in this country is going for it. Nobody wants to directly employ anyone anymore. And you can bet your bottom dollar if it's not happened to you yet, your employer's thinking about it in the near future. The Labour Party, the policy writers, the trade union movement have got to say, we are fundamentally opposed to outsourcing, we are fundamentally opposed to the race to the bottom, and we're going to make it illegal in the next manifesto wherever we can do it. We are going to run a campaign on London Transport and in all of the train operating companies in the next period to bring our cleaners back in-house. Well above the living wage, £15 an hour immediately. Pension rights comparable to the in-house staff, full sick pay rights, all the benefits that the in-house staff get, they should get as subcontractors. If they don't get it, and you don't have to be a social scientist to reach this conclusion, just look around you when you're in any transport facility. That is structural racism. The people that are suffering in this town and in this region London transport and transport provision for the people of London. But we cannot be divided, London against the North. They'll try that game. England against Scotland, whatever they want to do. We cannot do that. We've got to go back to our communities. Let it ring out from this meeting. We are the working class. We are here as a presence, as a force in this community. We are back. We're going to pursue our agenda on our terms through whatever action is necessary, and we're going to change this country, and with the help of people like Bernie Sanders, we're going to change the world. So let's get back there.
Now, everyone's getting very excited that the US Senator for Vermont is in the building. But I'm just going to say, apropos this meeting and its purpose, that today Bernie serves on the Environment and Public Works Committee of the US Senate. He's the longest serving independent senator in US history. His focus is on global warming and rebuilding infrastructure. He's a member of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee of the US Senate, and he also is very involved in pursuing renewable alternatives to fossil fuels. He sits on the Health, Education, Labour and Pensions Committees, where he's fought for greater access to affordable healthcare and improved education programmes. And it gives us great pleasure tonight to welcome Bernie Sanders to address this rally.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and let me thank the RMT for inviting me to be with you this evening. It is, in truth, a real honor. And I want to convey to you my belief that millions of working people throughout this country are proud of what you are doing. They're proud of your fight for justice, and we stand with you. Thank you. That is to tell you that what is going on today in the UK is no different than what is going on in the United States of America. Same bloody thing. And that is what you are seeing is people on the top, people who are phenomenally rich are becoming richer. You're seeing a middle class continue to shrink, and you're seeing millions and millions of people living in abject poverty. In the year 2022, we cannot allow that to happen, whether it's the UK or the United States. Working people all over this globe have got to stand together and tell the oligarchs they cannot. Politics of the economics of the trade union movement here, but I do know something about what is going on in the United States. And let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in my country. Today in America, you have 3 multi-billionaires who own more wealth than the bottom half of American society, 160 million people. 3 people. Shame is exactly the right word. In your country, as I understand it, you have 100 people on top who own more wealth than the bottom 18 million people. That is 27% of your population. No one can tell me from a moral perspective, or in fact from an economic perspective, that it makes any sense at all that so few have so much and so many have so little. In the United States, and I'm sure here, in the UK and around the world, we deal with serious problems of addiction. We have
drug addiction, alcohol addiction, tobacco addiction, and so forth and so on. But there is another addiction that the corporate media does not talk about, and that is the horrific addiction of greed. It is beyond my understanding, and I mean this seriously. Everybody, wants to live a good life, everybody wants to make a good living, everybody wants a decent home, etc., etc. But it is hard for me to really understand how you have people who are worth tens and tens of billions of dollars and who every day are fighting hard to crush the working class so they can have a few billion more. Shame on them. There is no moral justification for a small number of multi-billionaires to have more wealth than they will spend in 1,000 lifetimes while people are going hungry or living out on the street. In the UK, in the United States, we have got to get our priorities right, and that means creating an economy and a government that work for all, not just the few. Inequality in wealth and income, it is a growing concentration of ownership. Again, the corporate media doesn't talk about this terribly much. But in sector after sector in the United States, and I doubt that it is much different here, you have a handful of large multinational corporations controlling what is produced and how much it costs in one area after the other. And right now, there are 3 firms on Wall Street, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, who have and control assets of $20 trillion. 3 companies, that is the GDP of the United States of America. And these 3 companies are major stockholders in 95% of the Standard & Poor's 500 corporation list. So what you are looking at globally is a small number of billionaires who have enormous power over the economic life of the people and the political life of the people. And our challenge is to bring people together, to stand up to the demagogues who want to divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation or whatever. Bring working people together in the fight for justice and a world that belongs to all of us, not just the people on top. It is also important as we engage in the day struggles, the RMT and the other unions here and in America are engaging, that we also have the courage to think big and not small. Please remember, this is the year 2022. It's not 1922, it's not 1822. We have seen an explosion of technology which would improve life for working people. And yet what we are seeing, despite all of the increase in productivity, is working people seeing in many cases a decline in their standard of living. In my country, in almost the last 50 years, despite a huge explosion of technology, where every single worker is far more productive than he or she used to be, what you are seeing today is real inflation accounted for wages are lower today than they were almost 50 years ago. And what we have seen is a massive distribution of wealth going in exactly the wrong way. The middle class is shrinking and the people on top are getting wealthier. Our job is to take on these oligarchs, and our job is to imagine a world of justice. It is not radical. It is not radical. to say that every worker in the UK and in the United States is entitled to a decent standard of living. That's not a radical. It is not a radical idea. It is not a radical idea to say that not only should children not be going hungry, but we should have the best schools imaginable. That every young person in this country, in my country, who has the desire to get a higher education, to be able to do that without, regardless of the income of his or her family. It is not a radical idea to say that at a time when psychologists tell us that 0 through 4 are the most important years of human development, that we have the highest quality and affordable child care available to all of us. In my country right now, as I speak to you, close to 600,000 people are homeless, sleeping out on the streets of America. 18 million households are spending at least half of their income for housing. It is not a radical idea to say that everybody in this country and in my country is entitled to good, quality, affordable housing. Your healthcare system here is different than ours. And thank God in 1948, your country had the wisdom to say that health care is a human right, not a privilege. I understand the pressure of privatization going on now in the NHS. But you are ahead of us because we today have some 70 million Americans who are uninsured or underinsured. And if you can believe it, in my country, the wealthiest country on earth, some 60,000 people a year die because they can't get to a doctor when they need to get a doctor. They can't afford the outrageous cost of prescription drugs because we remain the only country on earth that doesn't negotiate prescription drug prices with the incredibly greedy pharmaceutical industry. So that is where we are today. We are living in a time when we are seeing extraordinary wealth being produced, but it is going to a handful of people. We are living in a time when we are seeing increased pain and suffering for working families, and certainly this inflation that you and we are going through is making a bad situation worse. Our job right now, internationally, is to stand together. Our job right now is to bring people all over the world together, to make it clear to the oligarchs that their day and their power is ending. Brothers and sisters, I really do want to applaud the RMT and the other unions who are now standing up. I want to tell you that in the United States, we are now seeing more trade union organizing efforts than we have seen in a very long time. I want to tell you that because of the pressure on the working class in America, unions are now more popular than they have been since the 1960s in the United States. In America now, we are trying to grow the trade union movement. We're trying to combine trade unionists with the progressive movement to create an economic and political force of real power. I'm happy to tell you we are making real success. We have more strong progressives in the U.S. House of Representatives than we have had in a very, very long time. And I also know, but I know all of you know, Vic was talking about this a moment ago. Frederick Douglass, was the great American abolitionist. And I'm paraphrasing him when he said, there is no success, no justice without struggle. They're never going to give it to you. You think the oligarchs are going to say, hey, Mick, you made a good case. We're going to raise wages for your workers. Thanks for informing us what's going on. Do you think the advocates for food security are going to be listened to by the people on top and say, oh, thank you for telling us there. People are hungry, people can't afford food, people can't afford housing. We are listening, we're going to respond to you. That ain't the way it works. The only way justice ever comes about, the only way working people ever make success is when we stand up, we take them on, and we win. That's what this struggle is about. It is an honor, it is a sincere honor for me to be here. My family is here as well, and we so much appreciate what you are doing. Let me tell you something. What you are doing is being noticed in the United States and around the world. You're an inspiration to people all over this world. So let us go forward together. Let's transform the world's economy. Thank you very much.
Well, that is the end of the meeting. Apart from this, this has been a rally. I know there's a lot of very experienced, intelligent people in this room. We've got a lot to bring to the campaign to save London's transport. We're going to need that knowledge, that enthusiasm, and that solidarity in this room. If we could bottle it, we would. But we're going to need that in the years to come. I'm going to ask you, when you leave here, to please make sure you follow the campaign, Save London's Transport. You can find it via social media, you can find it via the RMT's website. Other unions will also be providing information. Support your picket lines. About future strike action in the National Rail Network. There will be further announcements coming in the next few days. And finally, if you're not a member of a trade union, join a union.
All right, cool. So that's the end of that. I hope you've enjoyed it. You had a good time. Weren't too many of you, just a handful. But feel free to share with friends, family, colleagues. So right now we're making our way out of venue. I still got my Yeezys from yesterday on, or well, from Monday. So
I'm feeling a lot
it's going on, everyone waiting and stuff. Wait, are we still on or we're not on? Can you check, please? Oh no, we're still good. Still alright. Alright. I can take my bag with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Sandwiches, juice, and everything. And that. I woke up very sweaty.
Подержи. Get this sorted out quickly. Need to have a look at my battery level. 14%. Get my jacket out. Sorry. Get me jacket. Get me jacket, mate. Wait, why did we go? We should have stayed outside and waited for Bernie to come out. We should have stayed outside as a groupie. Yeah, groupies. No, how do you know he left? He's inside at the back somewhere. Have you seen him leave the building? So how do you know he's left? Alright, so I've got 14%, which basically means a couple of minutes I can show you central London at night. All of this is basically bonus footage for you, it's just, you know, additional bit of footage. So yeah, this is basically part of central London, not all of it. If you guys want me to go and give you like a live tour of central London, let me know, I'll do it, I'll arrange it. I'll make a date, I'll make time, I'll make a date, make sure that all you are ready, and I'll spend a good couple of hours walking around central. I'm gonna jaywalk. Jaywalking. Come on, mate. Come on. Gotta run a bit faster than that. Jeez, you're definitely a police officer.
I know what to
Friends here. Alright, cool, that's it. We're done for today. Thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.